postures up. As she postures up, I stiff arm into her shoulder, up on my elbow. Remember, when I come up on my elbow, I don't pull it underneath my body. I circle out, put it behind me. So I got the stiff arm here. The reason I'm doing the stiff arm is trying to keep a little pressure back on her, keep her a little off balance. So her posture's not perfectly up and down. So basically, I feel breaking her posture this way. So I'm start breaking her posture this way using the momentum. So I get my elbow here, I put my hand right on my forearm, connecting her chest here. Now I open my legs up, bring my hips in, I start to bump the actual post. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump onto this more pretty quick. This, I grab it. You guys, has anybody not seen that? Kelly?
Sure.
Yeah, you seen that? Okay. I was making one time. So okay. I'm here though, so I get this Kimura, so then Nora's gonna start posturing back up. Okay, follow her back up, hit my sweep. Okay, that's all we're gonna do. So that's really basic hip sweep to Kimura. Just grabbing that wrist, jumping over the elbow, grabbing your figure four, and go back into your hip sweep right after that. Okay, one more time. Like I said, we won't spend a whole lot of time on this. I want to get you guys some new stuff. So Nora postures up, stick on the way, on behind, pressure, you post. Just get my arm over top, grab this wrist, start hopping in. She starts posturing up to get out of it. Keep that grip as long as you can, coming up, and then hit through. Get your sweep, get your mount position. Okay, super basic. Gotta make sure you know it. We won't spend a whole lot of time on forward grip. That's why we're drilling it too, so you don't have to think too hard about it. You have options. So we're gonna look at our arm bar first, because it's gonna be one of our more simple options from the guard here. So whenever I get this Kimura grip, however I set it up, a lot of times one of the common escapes, especially for someone that's a little flexible, is I start trying to go back to this, they straighten their arm out, and they start rolling their wrist here. Okay? And a lot of times they'll grab the head, or they'll set up a neck, they'll set up a collar tie, and they'll kind of pummel out of the Kimura. It can happen really fast, even if you got a nice tight grip. And sometimes it's very painful for them to do that, because they don't want to lose so bad. They kind of feel the arm kind of grind a little bit on that joint whenever they roll the shoulder. So it's not I don't recommend it as your primary Kimura escape, because you can actually injure yourself as you do it, and it kind of catches up with you, so basically you grinding at your elbow joint. But it happens a lot in the heat of the exchange and in a match. So every time this happens, okay, she starts rolling her arm out. So I've lost the Kimura at this point here. What I want to do is I want to keep on my grip. She can keep rolling that arm. So I'm going to duck my head back. I'm going to start wrapping her arm this way. As she does that though, I'm going to take my hips and follow here, kind of pulling this arm across. So now I've got my arm bar position. Got my arm up, I got my leg nice and deep in her armpit. I got a foot on the hip, check the head, hop into my arm bar. So here, as soon as I feel her elbow start to roll, and I see this here, her hands start to change positions, drag it through. Get all the way over here, okay? She starts rolling, putting the hip, dragging it all the way out, okay? So it's right just my figure four grip. So it's here, she starts rolling that arm. I'm hanging on to it for the most part, for almost all of it. And here, I still got the grip, this kind of just cuts the elbow, pulls it across. Get this leg up nice and deep. This arm bar is going to be crap through down here. I'll get this leg nice up in the armpit, collapse our posture here, taking my heel down, clamp it nice and tight. Check the face. Boom, nice and tight over the leg. Now you also have options like flower sweeps and stuff. So if you guys want to play with this, that goes all the way back to our arm bar model we were doing a few months ago. Start rolling. Boom. Here, I can come over the top of this arm, start hooking this leg. Start playing this flower sweep game here too. There's a lot of options, you get a lot of control on that arm. So if you're here for the arm bar stuff, you can play with that too. Can you cover that during the arm bar module? Yeah. We'll say great video here. All the way around, get your hips to follow it. Gotta get your shoulders to go with it. If you don't, just like a regular arm bar, if I don't make this 90-degree angle, it's not gonna work. So you gotta make sure your whole body follows it. This foot in the hip and this foot up in the up on her back is going to do most of the work. Check the head. Elevate your hips when you set this. Pinch, clamp, finish the arm bar. Okay? Here. So when I'm trying to finish this more, a lot of times this guillotine's going to open up because Nora's going to start driving into me to hug. It's here. Yeah. And that's when I'm going to start coming back around, moving forward to get this guillotine. Okay? So notice how I'm finishing this guillotine. So we're used to seeing a guillotine finish where you get here, and you fall backwards, and you go until you try to finish it, okay? And I'd rather you guys not do that, because the problem with going all the way back with that guillotine, while sometimes you get enough leverage on it, as soon as her head pops out, you're back in your basic closed guard. You don't have any kind of options to go from there, typically. So I'm on this Kimura. Kimura starts hugging into me a little bit. I'm trying to keep my chest forward as much as possible. I put my feet on the mat, just kind of scoop my butt out a little bit. That way my butt behind me more than in front of me. And from here, I hang on to the wrist. This is security. And loop over her head. Start getting this guillotine. Now when I go over this guillotine, I keep my head forward. Okay, kind of keep my chin on top of her shoulder, nice and tight. I do that so I know where my arm is. As soon as her back of her neck starts to show here, as soon as my biceps coming off, I start losing this guillotine. If I keep my chin forward, if my chin's touching her shoulder blade, I know my chest is forward. So I know I'm in a good position here. Now I'm going to pummel inside, grab my other wrist. So I'm just grabbing this arm around her neck, pointing this bone up into her neck. I'm grabbing right underneath here, just like this. So I can pull up on it. So whenever I finish this, I'm actually going to pull my right elbow to the ceiling here. Go to the side. So I bring my whole body to the side, use my core to finish. From here, she starts driving in. I hang on to this for as long as I can, scoop my butt out a little bit. I'm kind of just keep my legs heavy on her thighs here. That way it's not easy for her to pass. I'm not just hanging out like this. Okay? I don't want to be that easy. I want to be right here. Keep a little bit of pressure on these thighs. Scoop my butt back a little bit if I need to. Keep this wrist. So I go for the guillotine here. Grab my hands together. Twist and get this finished. Okay? Now, since that's pretty simple, like I said, I want to make sure I'm giving you guys new stuff. Let me show you what I'd rather do. My favorite setup. Whenever I'm in this position, she starts driving in. I'll go over and I grab the armpit here instead of going over her neck. I keep a little bit of shoulder rib pressure on her chin here. So instead of going underneath her head, I'm grabbing her shoulder. And what's going to happen a lot of times here? She's going to think I'm going for the guillotine and pull her head out. Hook the overhook as she comes out. And I got this wrist already. I can start coming into the triangle position here. One more time. Like I said, the second one's my favorite. Whatever one you want to go to, this is fine with me. So I'm here. I feel like I'm not getting this more. There's too much pressure on me here. I'm going to go back. I'm going straight to her armpit here. Just hooking, just like this. Just getting kind of my thumb bone hooked in that armpit. Put a little bit of pressure here. And hang on to this wrist the whole time. So now, as soon as she feels like she's threatened with the guillotine, she starts pulling her head out. All right, walk that arm. Keep this wrist controlled. Start making space, get your knee inside. Now you got that push pin triangle we were working on not too long ago, right? Coming over, 4, 5, enough space, and kind of jump rope it. Come up into my triangle, right? You guys are familiar with that stuff? So play both of those, and then we'll do a super fun one. And I got my Kimura. Yeah, I should be teaching class. So I got my Kimura here, okay? So we looked at Nora posturing up, we looked at her kind of driving into my body to protect this. Well, another thing that will happen sometimes, especially if they're into these sneaky counters, is they'll grab their own wrist between our bodies. So she'll grab right here, okay? She'll use this to defend. Now her wrist hidden, I can't really pop it out to finish. I can turn this into a switch. So sometimes you keep your arm inside, and just pummel through, get inside of her thigh here, or you can pull your arm out, set your elbow back in, and then get your grip, okay? So I'm either weaved in here, so she starts pulling this wrist through. She's going to pummel in here and grab her in her thigh. So I'm still kind of laced in with her arm. You guys see how this is set up? Or I can pull this out, set my elbow back in, and then go for the thigh. Okay? I tend to prefer to keep my arm laced because it's less space, there's less room for error. But some people aren't comfortable with it based on their body types. So they feel a little out of position. So I'm here. In this position here, the key to a switch, and the switch will work in a lot of different positions, especially as you guys get into more wrestling takedown stuff. The key to the switch is this pressure into her shoulder here. So when I come in and I get inside of her thigh, this is a nice grip for control. But really the key to my switch here is this elbow coming back. I'm pulling this elbow kind of like a lawnmower chain, right? I'm getting this elbow nice and tight to my ribs, nice and strong. If I let my arm go straight, I'm actually making it kind of weak here. So I want to be leaning this way. Keep my elbow pressure into her armpit here. Now to make this switch work, I'm going to start hipping my hips out this way, hipping my hips out this direction. I'm going to drag my elbow back this way. So almost like I do an arm drag position. So I'm here, here. If I have to go a couple times, it's fine. Then I can pull this arm out. Now I'm on Nora's back. Okay, so this kind of turns into a little bit of scramble position. A lot of times you can just pop a hook in really quick. Sometimes she'll pop up, drive back into you, end up in like an octopus guard position. Okay, but it's still a really strong position for you. So one more time. We'll do 2 more times just for you guys. Got the Kimura. She starts grabbing her wrist, pulling it through. I'm sitting up, put my feet on the mat. I get through and just grab the inside of her thigh, right on this hamstring right here. Okay, just this nice little grip. In this position, I keep my elbow nice and tight, and I keep my shoulder pressure into her. Push hand on the mat, hip and out as I'm grabbing my elbow. Here. Here. Pull this elbow all the way through. See how our arm pops? Now I can pull this hand out. Start pulling into my back take position. Looks goofy, but I swear I've done it. It works. Up here. Start defending. Hand on the mat. Right side to thigh. Nice and tight. Get your elbow locked out. Nice and tight to your hip. Remember, you're pulling it back. Turning forward turn. Trying to get my chest over top of her back as I pull my elbow through. Here. Now I got my switch. I cleared that arm. Pull this in, set my first hook, or you can play your octopus card. Okay? Now just as that FYI, the other back take that you can do is from this position. So Nora starts rolling her arms, but this is kind of a stronger guy position. I can hang this here, and I can punch this through. This is up into an octopus guard, and start taking it back from here. Okay? There's an option. I never hit it because it just happens too fast. But I've seen guys that do it just fine. So it might work for you. All right? Let's try to switch.